All right, let me make sure this is working. Or let me. We're already starting this off terribly. Live show. Monetization off. I must be trying to. I got to get my 2 cents. My literal 2 cents from doing a stream on here for an hour. We got to make sure that that's a mandatory requirement of these, right? And we are ready to go. We also send this link to someone. Copy. All right. Whew. And then let me check the audio, make sure that I can be heard. And then I'll just do this on my phone, which will be more physically draining. But hey, who cares about content creators? Am I right? We don't matter. Let's see. Can I be heard? Yep, that's good. So I was really glad to have put up the top 10 worst mothers video. And the reason I was glad wasn't because I thought it was some great masterpiece, but because my computer, sometimes it seems technology is just against us in all kinds of ways. First, it said I didn't have enough space. So I go delete a whole bunch of stuff. Then, after I convert the file, so I have this thing where I can't upload a video directly from iMovie. I have to save it as an additional file on the computer and then stick it on one of these websites. I finish, rather, the loading screen for the video finishes, and it says import failed. I was like, what the hell? Because I've never seen that before. So I then go and look at the file because I'm thinking, all right, I'll just try this again. And it's in the system seemingly completely fine. So that, I scratch my head a little bit. I say, hey, I'm not going to worry about it. Then as I upload to YouTube, it would do this thing where it would say uploading 99% complete. And it would say processing 0%. And I was like, what the hell? Because I didn't understand why it was doing that. So after a while, I just, all right, well, I'll just, I don't know, put it on some other site maybe, and then link it on here. But it got uploaded. It's finally out. I'm glad because, as I said before, that was something I did do editing on and want to do for the purposes of just kind of making points. I will admit that there still are parts I'm not a big fan of, mainly because in my original vision for that video, I was going to have, when I read the story, a black screen with some white text, whereas I'm reading it, you see the different text. But when I would try to stick the screen in there so that the audio of me speaking would be over it, and I've done this before where I'll put something, some visual up, and then as I'm speaking, you can still hear me. For whatever reason, it wouldn't do that. Like when I put the block for the window, it just would freeze up or otherwise not show up. So it would take it out. So I just said, screw it. I'll let myself be seen as I'm reading this stuff. We can have it that way. So whatever. Because again, the main point is still the actual list. So as long as the list is still there, I'm fine with it. I'm mostly fine with it. Rather, that was the main point that needed to be made. That was, me not being able to hide behind the black screen is a small price to pay. for getting the message out. .com best list maker. Yeah, I've heard of that site before. I know they have a channel where they're putting up a list almost every day. Problem is the person who they have as the narrator has a voice that kind of bores me. So it's kind of the equivalent of when you have those channels where people are too afraid to like just forget showing yourself, but also they're afraid to have their voices be heard. So they'll stick Microsoft, what is that thing called? Microsoft Sam or Word sound on there. So it will sound like this as they're speaking about a story, and I'll just get so annoyed. That's the quickest way for me to click off of something. I don't care if they're talking about something I like. If it's just this robot reading your text, I'm not interested. Only person who could make that kind of video and I'd watch it would be Stephen Hawkins. Other than that, we need people to actually speak at the very least. You want to show yourself, that's fine, but or hell, pay somebody else to do the speaking. Jesus. What list will I make next? Well, I said if that did well enough, I might make one for the 2000s. So for the previous decade, and then we just keep going back. So next it'll be 2000s, then it'll be the 90s, then it'll be the 80s, then it'll be the 70s. We just find 10 horrible mothers from literally every decade since the start of the calendar. That'll be an entertaining thing to do. Again, I don't actually plan on concretely. So I'm open to doing something like that in the future, but it's not a high priority for me because I really want to make another documentary at this point because top 37 worst. Why would it be the top 37? I don't know where you got that from. People just pick a random number. Also, depending on the events of this upcoming week, I'm going to put up a video where I basically talk about the voice actor situation in a more in-depth way than I've ever spoken because pretty much the current thing that's going on is I'm getting kind of pissed off with a lot of them recently. But again, based off the way they act this week, I'll put something up that explains the situation, in depth. So that might be a little ominous, but I'm pretty much saying that they have a week to do things that appear to not because just as a little bit of a hint, when you put yourself in a position to take on a responsibility in someone's work, right? And the person says, you know what? I'll make an extension for you. I will let you miss deadlines, but just please communicate. When you can't do that, it is the voice actor saga. Starting to feel like the voice actor series because we just it's like every arc is every season is hampered by this. So again, depending on how they act this week, we'll see what happens. Because I'm really just so sick of these people. And I think it'll be better for me to speak about it. Oh yeah, that's another one. But I'll be better speaking about it when I'm in front of a script and have edited a video to compile my thoughts because I'm going to put in there a frequently asked questions part at the end where I basically react to because a lot of times people will say, "Why don't you hire somebody else? Why don't you get somebody else?" That kind of stuff, right? So I'll address that after kind of laying the case for the current issue. No, it's just stagnation. So forget the sagas; they're just stagnant things that don't change. You can go out and apply to 50 places, don't hear anything back. If you do hear something back, it's thanks, but no thanks. People don't even try to interview you. Then you get told you're lazy when it's the pricks who are supposed to be hiring people aren't hiring anybody. You go out and talk to 60, 70, 80 chicks. They turn you down after speaking to you for a week or a month or whatever, or after trying to friend zone you. Then you get told that, all this stuff about how horrible you are. Wouldn't the women's and the relationship saga be the same thing? Because I don't have this like I said before, the friendship stuff is way easier because people just don't piss me off as much with that. Stagnation, or could you say it is saga nation? I just say stagnation. It's stupidity is really what it really is because I do believe in the strength of numbers, but if we're gonna have everyone have a hive mind to where people actively all keep doing the same thing, and then you have like this lazy mentality where instead of looking at the system, we're gonna go and take this one individual and say, you didn't make it because you're just this piece of garbage, horrible person, and you get my point. Like that was one of the main things for doing the worst mothers video, to prove that you can't assume someone is normal because they were able to get screwed or because they had a relationship. Because when you see what these chicks did to their children, those aren't normal people. Oh my God, it's Megumi. Yeah, Megumi, I'm thinking of doing another Dragon Ball stream tomorrow, probably on Yamcha or Piccolo. But I might just basically, how do I explain it? Uh, a lot of the stuff people wrote last week was really stupid. And I'm not even going to try to pretend it wasn't dumb. And it's not even so. For example, if someone comes on here and they say, like when you said, I like GT, I'm not a fan of it, but that doesn't bother me because that's a personal opinion that no one really has to go and try to make um, the case for why it's not true, right? There's no one that's going to contest why you like that show. It doesn't bother me. But when you have people who you can present facts to them regarding their own show, and they try to like weasel around it, I'm not interested in that. So I might either do one where I just upload a video, or if I do it, just ignore the chat. So if you don't see me reading your comments, it'll be because of that. Okay, honestly, was watching your worst mother's video, but paused it for now to watch this stream. Hey, I'm making myself have less views. I guess they were right. I really am my worst enemy. Yeah, I was gonna start this earlier, but I had a person come over, and I mentioned before, whenever you have these unannounced house guests, they don't know when to leave. They like to stay and sit down and relax forever. It's obnoxious. Okay, that lawyer argument in the video infuriated me. Yeah, Biosin, they don't care. They will, when you're a lawyer or you're trying to represent someone or just do something for coins, you will say and do whatever it takes to string along your argument. I mean, I had to sit there and watch, or rather read as a grown man trying to convince me that because some woman wasn't 25, even though she was 23, oh well, her brain hasn't fully developed. You got to give her another chance. Like, are you kidding me? Oh, that's why I said I live in the Twilight Zone. Only in the Twilight Zone could you see a grown woman be have someone try to argue that she's learning and young, and, da, 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 da. And then in that same video, you got the chick that did the same thing that's 10 years older. Told you, people will always use someone's age to just kind of let something off. Sounds cool. I'll be all for the stream or next video of Dragon Ball. Well, I did want to do the video where I rewrote the Buu arc to incorporate some of the characters that I think got kind of ignored, or to give people more to do than just be like part of a piece of it and kind of disappear. But I'm trying to think of what format I want for that, because part of me wants to do a bunch of different drawings to have with my voice speaking over it. And the other part was thinking maybe a stream, but I might just go with the drawn one. But that's gonna take longer because I gotta set up all the different pictures. No, that stream, man, was the stuff people were typing didn't even make any sense. Like you had the guy who said Vegeta shows potential from time to time, like the potential to lose to literally get the. I keep having to explain this. The last time he did something that either no other character could have done or didn't make the situation worse was when he beat 19. Because he could have killed Semi Perfect Cell, as could Future Trunks. And instead of doing that, he let him become perfect. Then he got his butt kicked to him. And then literally for the rest of the arc is sidelined because but the problem that almost kills everybody in that arc is because of something stupid that he did. Told you Resurrection F should have been about Vegeta killing Frieza. That would have been way cooler than we. And I'm saying that as someone who's not even that's not even my favorite character, but I'm just so sick of this idea that potential year after year, decade after decade is not supposed to get annoying when it keeps turning to the same character playing second fiddle over and over again. Let's see what else is here. Told you people will make any excuse for these shows. What other animes or mangas you enjoy? The only other one I've seen in its entirety besides Dragon Ball is One Piece. But, a lot of One Piece fans like Dragon Ball, but a lot of Dragon Ball fans like to basically diss One Piece because they're jealous that their thing ended for 20 years while One Piece kept living and getting stronger. So you see him, and I actually was contemplating doing this on one of the Dragon Ball forums. Someone came on there and they were like, "What do you guys think of One Piece?" And when I read some of there were about 7 pages of this, right, of people responding. I could only get through the first 2 pages. It was so ridiculous and just like if someone says, "I think it takes too long for arcs to finish," right? I can agree with that even as a fan of it because Dressrosa, I know a lot of people don't know what I'm talking about, but Dressrosa was the longest arc of One Piece, both in the show and in the manga. And it was like the story itself has a lot of parts I like, but it just took too damn long. And I've want to also make this point. I read over 900 chapters of this series from chapter 1 to 957 back in October, so between May and October. The only arc of that entire series where I was just actively trying to get through each chapter because of how dragged out it was Dressrosa. In the entire series, that was the only arc. But look, if someone were to say that, I would agree with them. But when I go into this forum, I'm seeing people write stuff like, "I don't like the character designs because they're too whimsical," and I'm like, I don't know if you noticed this, and it's just not a shot at Dragon Ball story, but character designs don't really like there's that same basic structure of the face that we have for most of the characters in Dragon Ball. There just is. And that does again, that's not a shot at the story. It's just I'd be hard pressed to say that Dragon Ball visually is more varied than One Piece because it isn't. It just is not. But again, I still don't think that's a good enough reason to say a story is bad because that has nothing to do with the story. And I had somebody else who said on there that the panels were too cluttered, and I'm like, where the hell did these art critics come from? And then you had someone else who said that should have ended 300 or 400 episodes ago, or some kind of crap. It's 3 or 4 times longer than it should be. And I'm like, what? Like, who are you to determine how long a series is allowed to be? I mean, I just, that's the kind of stuff I don't get. With Dragon Ball, for example, I'll say, I think it peaked at the Cell arc. After that, things get worse. But I'm not going to sit here and say that it was a mistake to go past that point because there are a lot of things I like from the arcs that have come after that. Again, I don't see myself as the person who gets to determine how long something should be, especially since all these pricks who are saying, I always say that the biggest issue I have with people who complain about the length of that is I'll look at the same stuff they're into. They'll watch over 500 episodes of Dragon Ball. They'll watch over 700 episodes. Actually, what is it, 800 now of Naruto and Boruto? But you're going to tell me the show at 900 is so staggering. And then what kills me is I say, okay, read the manga. You can read 4 chapters of that in the time it takes to watch one episode. They won't do that either. So, people will do what they want to do. They'll make up excuses. They'll say dumb stuff that, they don't care. Now, Megumi, I'm not what's the term for it? I try to look at things objectively. Um, this is not the place of smears and lies and attempting to, like when I was doing in that worst mothers video, you can see multiple instances where I say if the dad hadn't have done this, like at toward the end, I'm like, oh, the dad, if they hadn't have screwed this chick, then we wouldn't be in this the circumstance of whatever they did. By the way, I just realized every single broad except for one in that video killed their kid. I only have one chick on there that didn't kill their kid. I just realized that. That was not intentional. I just like when I type in bad mother or mother does, it kept coming up year after year, multiple cases. What other forms of entertainment you enjoy? Um, I don't. It's kind of a little difficult to answer. If it's not the political stuff, yeah, Megumi. If you literally type in on Google "mother kills child" and then enter a random year between like just of the last 10 years, or like 2010, any since the dawn of the internet and social media, you can find plenty of them who have done that. In fact, there's a good case to be made. I should have made that the top 50 worst mothers of the decade because I'm sure I would have plenty enough material. And Megumi, also one of the reasons that's so disturbing is if I do a documentary on one of these political figures, right? I have to go on all these different websites. I have to dig for information. But if I want to see a bunch of chicks murder, basically what I'm saying is it's so disturbing that there's so much more information on people doing something so evil as killing your own kid than it is on just trying to like learn about a certain person or something is what I'm getting at. That the reason it was easier to make that than a lot of the other stuff is because I don't have to go through a bunch of books and it's so out there. Like it's literally just whole bunch of articles surrounding me. It is saddening, but again, it's the act itself would just be this one savage animalistic thing, right? But then you get to the fact that you like that lawyer seems like if I had never read that comment, I would think was a regular person. They're or a um, conventionally normal person because they went to school, they work a job. You get the point that when I see like I don't know how you can sleep at night saying a broad who murdered her kid that is almost 24 was only 23 and her brain wasn't like how do you say that without just saying oh my god I'm really defending this type of person. God, that's how you know being a lawyer is just about getting a check because I don't know how you have any humanity saying something like that. I have to say, for even though I was ragging on that last chapter of Super, 57, The one thing this arc has done is give Piccolo a pretty decent role. They've given him a couple of fights. He's gotten I think the most appearances of any of the Z fighters that aren't Goku or Vegeta, which isn't saying much, but that means he's been in at least half of the arc because they only started using the ones that are not Gohan or Krillin in like the last two chapters. So they have been using him better uh, recently, anyway. Although because Goku is now on Earth, I fear that because that's why every time I write something or think of some story where it's set in the modern Dragon Ball continuity, you always have to take Goku and Vegeta out because they're so much stronger than the rest of the cast that there's no problem uh, ever created by their presence. So you have to always get rid of them. So they had one of Moro's henchmen get all strong. I was hoping that we could see the whole group team up to take him out, but instead it's just going to be Goku goes up and saves the day, and everyone goes, "Oh yay, I'm so happy! Let's all bend over and give him a blowjob for for his victory." People just jump to defend them as much as they can just because they are a woman. Well, I said that in the video that if there was an article, like let's say you type my name in on Google, right, and you find an article of me shaking my kid violently to where it dies, or what was something else they did on there? Well, I want to save number one as a secret, but just if you found an article of me doing any of the stuff these people had done, no one would be defending me. But they wouldn't not be defending me because I did it worse than the chicks did, but because I don't have a vagina. So that there's that incentive to support me is not there. If you saw the what do you call the woman cycle stream Megumi, I said on there, you could have a chick on YouTube worshiping Hitler with swastikas on her breast, and as long as she has a pretty face, she's gonna have 10 or 20 dudes to pick from on here, be like, "Mm." Yeah, there are no standards. If you're a chick, there are no standards. They can do whatever they want. They can still find someone. And I did say that I brought up the what's that guy's name? The one whose mugshot went viral because it was part of that same narrative of how you have these people who try to tell you. Yeah, I watched it a few times over, honestly. Hey, Megumi, you have these people who try to tell you that you have to own something, and then all these chicks got horny 6 years ago over the picture of a guy sitting up in jail, some gangster that got nabbed as part of an operation, and now he's a model. Hey, remember Christy was trying to get me to change the name of the stream to was it a tight vagina won't save you this time? You should have seen the broad that the one that tried to friend zone me where after I blocked her on Twitter, YouTube, what other website? There was some other place. And I blocked her phone number. Then she sent me an email, still trying to speak to me, and I wish I could have typed that to her like, "You want to friend zone me, but a tight vagina won't save you this time." So it's not gonna work. That's the only reason any of them ever get their way because they make men think they're gonna get something out of it, and usually something is some kind of sexual crap, which again usually does not happen. But they trick them on the premise that it will. It's just like with that broad that has a baby. The only reason any of that happened is because the guy didn't think he would ever get with another chick. That's why he put up with all her verbal abuse. And she was not as stupid, or at least is not as stupid when it comes to how to keep someone on your attached around the leash. So for every month of him paying for that unit, she would go and screw him. And eventually they either decided to stop using the condom or they just said screw it. I'm stuck at an event like that restaurant moment that you had. Oh, it's fine, Ruben. I appreciate you still attempting to notify me. It's fine. Yeah, that he's referring to that one time I was doing a stream and I had to leave a little bit earlier than usual because I had to get dragged along to this stupid restaurant where food costs an arm and a leg. I mean, I don't care whose birthday it is. I'm never going somewhere where you spend 100 on one person. It's stupid. You're not paying for it, but there's still no reason to go there unless your last name is Bloomberg or Trump or Disney. You don't need to go to that kind of place, or Clinton or Bush. That's nowhere for me to attend. Yeah, that was a really dumb decision they made going over there. It's this person's birthday, so we have to treat them special. Doesn't mean you have to go bankrupt doing it. I'm not even surprised anymore. Magumi, you remember? You might not have heard this, but I was on one of my streams. I mentioned how a person who spent 3,000 on a floor, just on like replacing a floor, a non-utility, wanted to complain about two burgers costing around $20. I'm like, I never want to get to a point where I'll complain about food costing not even 20 bucks, but almost for two people. But then I'm optionally, meaning I have the choice to do this or not do it, spending 3 grand on the floor. Oh, that's why I said it's just the Twilight Zone. People try to, they say all kind of stuff, and then you actually look at their lives, and you know it's the reverse of that. That restaurant moment I had, man, I was over there for I think 3 or 4 hours. It was all night. Yeah, it was insane, but that's why I said people they don't even care. They just do random weird stuff, and then if they get called out on it, they want to curse someone out or, uh, stoop to stupid arguments. If floors are important, you step on them. No, they're not important if you already have floors that were completely fine and that you have the option to keep or get rid of. Megumi, if you have the same floor for 10 or 20 years, yeah, that's my point, Megumi, that they had a floor that they chose to change that cost a hefty sum of money, in my opinion. Uh, I'll put it to you like this. Besides the fact that they had to move a whole bunch of stuff around, when you, it like just, the only way you could get me to buy something like this is if it was maybe for maybe probably somewhere in the ballpark of 200 or $100. And even then, I still probably would say no because it's a non-utility. I could literally feed myself for a month with $200. I don't. There's no reason to to go in and buy a stupid floor for that. And forget a month. That might actually be about 2 months. So I said it like when I want you to understand something, Megumi. If this person had not spent 3,000 on this floor, they could actually buy themselves a burger every day for a year. So that's the point that it's optional. Just like when they spent 6,000 on getting dents out of a car. It's all optional. You don't have to do it. That's why I gave the example of how I would spend 1,000. Food, please. Yeah. Now we know you're trolling. Floors are more important than food, please. Hey, Megumi, imagine if for one of my videos you see me take like a little shovel and chop a piece of the floor off his arm. That's gonna feed me for the remainder of eternity. Floors are more important than food. That's damn sure how they act. You'll never see them spend 3,000 on food. You'll see them spend whatever. I already said that the price by itself isn't the issue because for mortgage, you spend 1,000 on it, okay, or whatever, or rent. I get that, but again, that's utility. You need that to live somewhere. But if it's something like this, yeah, that's crazy amount of cash for just something they didn't have to get. I mean, we could go through a whole bunch. Just like when I did the video call, what was it? Pure stupidity. 3,000 to paint a wall, a color that it already is. Dude, let me tell you something. If I wanted to paint walls, I would probably, especially if it's already the same color, go out and buy a bucket and slab it on there myself. I'm not gonna. That's why I said people they don't think, they just do weird stuff. You can eat food on the floor. See, what was that hashtag? Floor matters. Over there trolling. No, I'm done with these people. I let them do all their little stupid stuff. Because like I said, they just want yes men. They want the only time they ever value your opinion is if you agree with them. Same way majority of people under 18 spending an excessive amount of money on what is that, trainers or designer clothes. Yeah, this. That's why I said people fail. Just like that chick, she put in all these different hours of work, and the second she was paid, she would go and buy some new clothes. I told you where she was homeless, and like, dude, I realistically think that she had enough clothes to where she could actually build herself a hut out of them. Like, just find some grass somewhere and stack them all on top, and she could close herself inside. But that's why I said it. Like, this is why this continues because when her son, in what is he, a couple in 18 years, wants to go to college, she's gonna say, "It costs so much, and I never could have afforded for you to go." Well, half of you, we know you've had thousands of dollars spent on clothes. So theoretically, if you had saved instead of spending on yourself like the selfish prick that you are, you would have been able to do this by now. But that's why I said people don't have foresight. So, the only reason she has a kid is because she and her dude were so used to screwing without having a loofah or rubber on that they just allowed this to occur with no thought of the worst possible circumstance. Yeah, the cycle continues, but it continues because the people who continue are stupid, the people around them excuse it, and those two together. Is there really going to be a PBS? Oh, a PS5 soon? Let me go look. Type this in. PlayStation 5 upcoming home video game console. Release date quarter. Okay, so it's going to be released somewhere between October and December because they said quarter 2020. So I'll make sure to send Ruben one. He can he can say I'm not coming to your streams anymore. I'm playing my PS5. Hey Megumi, imagine if the PS6 is the feminist era, so they have it like have a butterfly or I don't know, a tampon or some kind of crap. This is the progressive PlayStation. Or it'd be funny if anytime you put a game on there, uh, if you're playing as a guy and you try to hit a chick, it stops you, and it's really weird because you're like, what's going on? This game used to let me do this, not on the PS, the progressive PS. I'm just picturing that. Oh man, that video was so aggravating. Making it was the most fun part, but when I was trying to upload it and get it off oh my god. So I'm gonna give the VAs one more week, and I'm gonna do my tell-all video. PS6, punching sexist, fighting patriarchy, and having fun. Told you we got. I don't. Every time they talk about the patriarchy, I don't see it because like you come on here, right? And I was told before doing any of the romance stuff that people mess with chicks over their appearances, right? They hold them to this unfair standard, and it's the reverse. Like it's so hard to find videos on here where you actually have people talking that way to chicks. It's always in the comment section. This dude is fat. He's ugly. And like I said, I don't see any of the blind defenses for men that I see for chicks. Like you again, you'll never see a guy murder his kid and then people go, "Oh, well, he was a single father and he didn't have a good support system and he was in an abusive relationship and he didn't know any better because he wasn't 25 and blah blah blah." It's not going to appear. That's the cycle on here. You have a whole bunch of people just continuing the same stupid game year after year. That's why when you go on this website, you actually have a lot of clowns that have almost ambivalence to so there's this back and forth. Patriarchy is like flat earth. Either you have a brain or not. Now, patriarchy is a thing that people say that when you actually look at reality and the way that we interact with each other on these websites in the real world, it's the complete opposite. That's why you had those clowns who were saying out of their own mouths, this woman's above your league, and then also trying to encourage me to acquire this massive amount of wealth. But then if they're above my league based off of appearance, then you're basically saying that this bimbo doesn't have to do anything and she's automatically on some higher, superior level just solely because she makes your little private part stand up. Started talking. Oh, I don't remember telling you to quit. And Megumi, remember in that Mitch Jealousy video, I was like, so I could have a Lamborghini and live in a mansion, but then some chick that lives in a box is above my league because you think her face is prettier than me. And I'm like, this is straight dudes saying that. Okay, well, Ruben, aren't you doing something else? I mean, I did answer your question about the PS5. I looked that up for you. You already know that it's a general discussion thing. If you have a question about something, I'll answer it. Main topic is floors. Hey, you know, it'd be funny if I got the camera and I glued it or taped it to the wall, and then I just do the stream lying on the floor. It's been the exact same flying Iceman. You fill out 30 of those damn things and you don't hear anything back. They don't say a word. Damn, they're criminal. Yeah, I'm busy. That's why I didn't know what was happening here. All right, well, like I said, if you have a question, I'll answer it. They went from 11 to 8. Jesus. They said it was a triple departure. They all got together. Imagine it's a guy and two chicks and like, hey, uh, let's ditch this stupid stream about this dude crying about not being with a woman and let's have a threesome. And they leave together. They all just jump out at the same time. Biozin says job hunting more easy to hear hunt than job. Wait, more easy to bear hunt than job junt. No, I told you how it goes. You fill out all these applications and then you either hear nothing back or they say thanks but no thanks without even interviewing you. And then you get told by people that the reason you don't have one is because you're too lazy to fill out an application. You're not ambitious enough. I said no, because the pricks aren't hiring anybody. That's why you have all these damn homeless people. Because every time they try to look for something, they get ignored. And since they don't have anyone to fall back on, they end up in the streets. Well, that and the fact that the smallest places over here cost way too much, in my opinion. What about COVID? Okay, I don't know what. What about it? They turn their brains off. Well, Megumi, the other thing is that it's purposeful ignorance because any of these people could have came up and asked me, "Have you applied recently?" And I would have told them yes. And I would have been willing to show them the video that I made and show them the ones I've done since making that video. And that would have been actual proof of what I'm saying. But because they want to have an easy narrative of, oh, yes, everyone doesn't have one, just a lazy person. Yep, everyone that's not, at whatever place just didn't apply. They would rather not ask anything or do any kind of basic research. Like literally the most basic research you can do is just going up to a person asking them, hey, how do you, what is the cause for this? Hey, just like when we were talking to the Lady Luck and Logic, and she was, what do you call it? Right as we started discussing the romance stuff, she wanted me to hear all of her things about how she had two guys ask her for marriage when she was in high school and blah, 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 blah. But then if you tell her anything, she wants to cut in between, not answer any of the direct things you're saying. That's why I don't like talking to people in text because they cut out pieces of what you say and pretend like the rest of it didn't happen. The same thing happens with the comment section. I'll do some 2-hour video or stream or whatever, and then they'll cut out a little piece of it and say, see, look, he said this. He means that. Like, no, if you would actually listen to the whole thing instead of, being selective, you'd be able to get it. It's just like, and this is why I said that stream was so frustrating to do last week, the TN one. I had one of the users admit that 17 getting all powerful made no sense, right? And then he says, but if TN were to get powerful, it would also make no sense. After I literally explain how they could do it within the context of the story. So it's selective hearing because I started off by saying, here's how this character can be made stronger via training, a specific type of training with stronger characters, where they cripple themselves and then stop doing that as he progressively improves in power, which would signify to the audience that he's got it. But again, they just choose not to listen. Bowsen says context doesn't matter. What matters, it's my ego and agenda. Okay. Apparently so. Oh, Megumi, I know you don't follow politics, but one of these hosts from TYT ran for Congress. And instead of people saying one of the reasons he lost because most people don't know who any of these commentators are, right? Even the ones with 1 million subs on YouTube, nobody would know who they are in the real world. Instead of doing that, they go, "Oh, he got 5% because people don't like progressives." So I said they just don't care enough to actually think things through or give it any kind of bearing of complex thought. It's just whatever on the surface level serves our own bias. We'll agree to that. Yeah. That's why all these different presidential candidates that drop out, every time one of them drops out, they say, "Oh, this person lost because they're black. That person lost because they're Hispanic. That person lost because they're gay." You can never look at their own damn campaigns and say, maybe people didn't like them because of how they performed during the debates. Maybe people didn't like them because they had never heard of them to like them. They just refuse to give that any kind of credence. I heard that Brazilian President Bolsonaro were having dinner with Trump. What are your thoughts on it? I don't have any thoughts on it. They're just having the dinner together. U.S. Brazilian relations aren't even a major thing anyway. Like they're not a major ally. They're not a major. Just it's nothing. Now they say at that dinner that they were talking about some plan to help the environment. I might get a little interested, but aside from that, just another day in the hood. Always so quick to jump right everything off their brain first tells them. Well, I said that if you get to a point, regardless of any thought process whatsoever. I said during the Super Tuesday analysis stream, or the Stupid Tuesday as I called it analysis, if you get to a point where you blame your reason for not getting something because uh, of something you can't control, you will literally never get anywhere. At least with respect to politics, because when you have a party that literally nominated a black person at one point, a short time, not this wasn't 50 years ago, a short time ago, and a woman, and then you want to say it's because of your gender and it's because of your race. Like, I just get out of here with that. No, we were talking about how unfair a lot of the stuff with the chicks are. It's because of you getting to a point, at least if you have my position, where you feel as if you've done all you can by the sheer number of them you've spoken to. And you don't think you're some horrible person because they wouldn't have talked to you for some continuous period if you were. That's when you get to the point where you blame the other side because you have within your own view, and people can disagree if they already do, but you've come to the conclusion that because you accepted the person for who they were, that because they wouldn't accept you, they're the reason it didn't start. Same thing with the employment situation, where you fill out dozens of these applications, they say nothing back, and then you're supposed to sit here and go, "I guess I'm just the worst worker in the world. No one likes me." Weh. And the only reason I get pissed off is because that's literally a bunch of companies playing with my life. Because it's not like the chickening where it's a non-utility. This is something you need to survive, and they just don't care. Like I actually think it would be more fruitful if I were to go outside with a sign that details all the different, it'd be funny if I had like a little sign I was still in the corner and I was like, I applied to this place, that place, this place, that place, this place, that place. They all said nothing or no. It would be the truth. No, we should have a mandatory jobs program. But again, whenever you talk about guaranteed jobs, people say that's you just want something for free. It's like, yes, I want the right to work. I'm sorry that I didn't know that was free. Again, Magumi, I know you don't follow politics, but that's why I don't like talking to a lot of conservatives because it's like they get to a point where they just stop thinking about what they're opposing. Like you're actually going to tell me that you oppose them making it mandatory for certain places to hire people like that's you've twisted that to be some kind of handout, a job handout. Now that's crazy. I don't care what anybody says. The fact that people actually oppose that is really insane to me. But again, that's how people work. They don't change their positions based off of any realities or evidence. I said before, my entire belief system is based off of what I've experienced. When I first started approaching, what was that, when I was in like seventh, eighth grade, I did believe that the more you put yourself out there, the eventually you will meet someone, right? And as years went by, and I kept widening the scope between real life and the internet and all that stuff, I just saw, all right, this is not getting better. All these chicks do the same thing. It was the same thing with the employer situation. I said, you know what? If I apply to 40, 50, 60 of these places, there is no way in hell no one is going to either interview me and try to hire me, or there's not going to be any kind of actual place that says yes. But they ended up doing that, where they just kept all doing the same thing of ignoring the application. And then if you meet with them in person, they go, "Oh, yeah, yeah, oh, wow, you sound sick." And then 2 days later, thanks, but no thanks. And we can go down the list. All my beliefs are because of reinforcements from society acting the same kind of way. Bios, and don't start with that. I think it was Flying Iceman that asked me what my resume looked like, and I said, "Sir, most of these places allow you to fill out the application on their website. Some of them do allow you to upload a resume, but do I really need to have 10 years of experience to work at a fast food joint?" Like, I mean, when we get to when you start doing that, even if you're not trying to be antagonistic, you are feeding into the idea that the most menial of positions require such extraneous experience. And it's really, they like to say this stupid stuff when you talk about the romance crap about self-fulfilling prophecies. Well, if you don't approach anyone, you're creating a prophecy if you're not getting with anyone. When none of these places hire anyone, they're never able to accumulate the experience that they supposedly desire so much, and thus they create the prophecy of never hiring that person. But that person didn't create it because they actively went out and kept on this little stupid hamster wheel, flying over and over and seeing no progress, no results, until they just said screw it for a little while, started back up. But you get the point that it's not the person's fault that these places have these weird expectations for menial positions. If you have confidence, you will cause people at the job to become insecure and to become a victim of workplace politics. I believe it. Remember at this one place I was working at, I was, yeah, yeah, I was. They had a person that would sit in this room with the cameras, and that wasn't their position. There was no actual, because it was a restaurant. There were no positions for cameramen, but they would just go in this room and just watch workers talk to each other and go, "How could you speak to this person?" And duh, duh, duh. I was like, you must be really insecure to where you're trying to get someone for interacting with another. And again, you'll try to have people who say, well, on a technicality, they got you because you, but again, the point is, if the people have done their work, I don't understand what the problem is with that kind of engagement, especially if it's very brief. Like I said, all the things that are supposed to help you just feel so purposefully antagonistic. So we talked about education's a scam. Oh yes, go to this school so you can get a piece of paper, and then after you get it, you can be burdened with thousands of dollars in student loan debt, so that when you eventually pay it off, you're middle aged or whatever. Yeah, Megumi, it's all a scam. Um, but again, that's why I'm gonna give the VAs one more week, and I'm gonna make a video where I talk about how dumb a lot of the stuff they do is. And just as a little brief kind of hint of what's going to happen in that video. That's why I said, Megumi, it all connects. And again, you get my point that it's not about someone trying to blame everyone else for what happens to them. So, for example, if I work somewhere and I get fired because I woke up too late and didn't show up day after day, that's me. But if you put this in their hands repeatedly, referring to the application, they don't respond, what else can you do? It's the same thing with the political stuff. I said I don't like to argue with people over that because I don't find conversations with people who refuse to consider any evidence that could possibly change their view to really be worth engaging with. Um, that's why oftentimes I'll watch Fox, one of these other networks, and the entire time they're speaking, I'm just in my head refuting all of the stuff they're saying because I consider what they're saying to be completely worthless and have no credibility to it whatsoever. But it doesn't mean I'm going to go and try to argue with but I'm saying that this is why I don't leave many comments on this website that aren't likable, like, oh, this video was good or whatever, because I don't engage with stuff that I don't think is worth my time. I'm depressed every day. I'm sick of this trash. Vince, I think you'd be depressed too if you applied to 50 or 60 places. They either said thanks, but no thanks, or nothing at all. I think you'd be depressed too if you gave voice actors months to record stuff and then they still wouldn't record it, or they, claim they forgot, or wouldn't. You get the point that if you giving them those courtesies extended to more stagnant crap that continue to derail your attempts to make something with their involvement. And then people say things like, try to stop applying, keep applying, keep trying. Like, after a while, if cancer treatment doesn't work, you just have to stop it. Yeah. And I told you that no, I didn't say this. About 3 weeks ago, an idiot put up a video that was not about romance, but like how these are general discussions. They mention, yeah, if you young guys are getting sick of getting turned down, get some paper. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is a guy who's got a wife who admittedly is employed and take care of himself. But I'm thinking to myself, how are you not self-aware enough to know that you're encouraging people to look for gold diggers? Because that's the only reason you would tell the man to have cash, and not having a problem with that as a married person who, you'd want to believe your partner is into you because of them actually liking you as a person. That's why I said, it's such a waste of time to talk to people about this stuff, because they don't try to put themselves into your position. Like, during that VA exposed video, if it comes out next week, I'm going to ask repeatedly, put yourself in my position, as the person that does everything besides the voices, where you would get annoyed at this. You lost. Yeah. Contradicting, if anything, huh? Oh yeah, Vince, but that's my point. It's all of this is scams. Like, that's why I did the romance is a scam video. I had 2 chicks who, when they saw my picture, stopped messaging me. I had one of them I mentioned in the what do you call it? Woman's cycle video, wrote all this nasty crap while she was talking to me and 19 other men, just to get with a dude in real life, and then all of a sudden all those messages are suddenly ceased, and she wants to know if we can still be friends. I said, go to hell. But that means that she never actually felt the way that she did when she wrote that trash, because if she did, she wouldn't have been so easily able to shift over to let's be friends within the same week. Telling you, Vince, if you saw the messages she wrote to me before getting with the guy and then after, you would think it was 2 different people. Personally, she wasn't even pretty enough to have 21 dudes trying to get with her with her big nose. with that bulbous thing between her eyes. And so I would say, "That's so mean. How could you devalue the appearance?" Man, I don't put up any of these people's pictures, and all people do on here is talk about how I look. So I don't. I have no empathy anymore. I'm done. I'm done pulling punch. What do you call pulling punches? Yet get picky and choosy when guys barely try. No, all every. So I said it's just a scam. Like between the chicks, between the voice actors, between the employers, all of it is just a bunch of lies and crap. None of it's true. Well, it's people wanting to believe something because it makes them feel better about crappy circumstances. Like with the Lady Lacking Logic, she wanted to believe that that chick who had the baby had this horrible, demonic, evil upbringing with no love and abuse and trauma. And when she found out that not only was that not the case, but that she herself, this same person who later did something really stupid, criticized the behavior of these people who have these kids they can't afford, it was hard for her to even concede that because these people don't want reality. They don't want to look at a situation and say, this is just stupid because it breaks their worldview that everyone just does something stupid because they don't know any better. I mean, if more men wore makeup to cover up marks on their face, got airbrushed, got waxed, whatever, most women would quickly fall out of their league. While I'm being shallow, say it again, they don't want reality. Oh, say it again. Oh, yeah, they don't want reality. I hate using this example, but it's like not being able to stomach a gory death video. I mean, look, I do get where people are queasy about certain things, but when you're getting, I'll put it to you like this. I know a person who curses in front of their underage child, which I don't have any problem with people doing that because that hearing bad words is one of the things that is not going to destroy someone's life. But they will curse in front of their child. But if you play a video where someone's cursing, a song where someone's cursing, a show where someone's cursing, oh my God, they don't need to hear this. But you swear in front of them. That's the hypocrisy. Those are the refusals to adhere to reality, the reality of them swearing. Like, I don't want to hear any person who curses suddenly getting upset at cursing because, oh my God, too much of it. No, I even told one of them, if I didn't know you, I would think you were a part of the Navy from how much you swear. And then you want to sit here and grandstand talk about the precious baby doesn't need to hear these words. That same precious baby heard you curse over and over. They will tell their children, don't. Hey, Vince, I knew a guy about 2 or 3 years ago. His dad said, I think it was something to the effect of, you better stop with that effing language. He was so taken aback by the fact that he would curse while telling him not to curse. It's like it's like someone telling you don't go in the Shark Tank while they jump in there to tell you that they're like, don't go in this water. Oh my God. Again, Megumi, I know you don't follow some of this other stuff, but it is all of them are connected. So when I give these examples, I try to stitch them together because it's about the perception versus the reality. So I go on that voice acting website, right? I said, there's no way I can't get voice actors first. There's over 2,000 people on there. So the perception is there's no way you cannot get with voice actors in regards to them being committed to your project because of how many people are on there. But then you go on there and they keep doing the same thing. Oh, no, thank you. I'm not interested. And then even when they sign up, they're just barely doing it. You got to beg them to and keep harassing them to record anything. So the perception was there's no way you can't get anyone first because of how many people are on there. The reality is you can still end up having no one working on this stuff because so many of them do the same stupid things. Just like with the chick stuff, I said it would be much easier for me to believe I made a mistake if I didn't look at the people in my own life and know that they all have the same problem. Again, my best friend, uh, we have gone to different schools for I think 10 years, and we've had the exact same experience of going and trying to talk to some chick, and she talks to you for maybe a couple of weeks, a month, whatever, just for it to not materialize into anything romantic, to get friend zoned, to get told that, she likes you as a person, but not in that way. And we're just done playing second fiddle to these clowns. Like a lot of people are just sick of that. That's why the birth rates have gone down and people are not screwing because they're tired of having to do all the. And that's another stupid thing that they like to say where they go around and try to claim that supposedly all of us just want sex. Like, yeah, I'm gonna spend 2 months talking to some clown who can't make up her mind as opposed to going to Vegas and spend the night over there to get screwed because I want sex so badly. Yeah. Then you get a random text message from her on Christmas or New Year's. Oh my Vince, that literally happened with me and this one broad about 3 years ago. Jesus Christ. That's why I said that all this stuff is common knowledge. Like people even like me know the chick stuff is ridiculous. Everybody knows that's insane. I don't understand that either. Like, what the hell? Megumi, there was this one broad whose boyfriend, I guess, tried to confront me, and then all of a sudden she sent me a message a couple months later, and I was like, "Oh my God, he's gone. This is my time to shine." And then I found out the only thing that happened was he was more busy with work, so he wasn't gonna, I guess, check her phone or what. Like, you get the point that it was a false insinuation because the insinuation was that the guy was now gone, whereas he was just less active. Damn it! That's why someone said the chick stuff is like taking one step forward and two steps back. Because you never get any further than a certain point. If you're lucky, maybe that chick will try to talk to you twice or three times a week, but again, actually doing a relationship now, they're not having that. Never ever. That's not me saying it, that's them doing it. They have control over this stuff. And if you meet a bunch of chicks where you I don't think the problem is intellect. It might be, but Vince, like I said, if you meet a bunch of chicks where you're fine with them and would want to go on a date and you say that to them and they decline, then they're the ones with the egos. And then let's pretend you go and say, "Oh, it's my fault," right? So now you're going to feel bad about yourself for accepting people for who they are. That's very productive, and that's going to help out a lot. Let's tear down this man's image or positive view of himself so we can prop up these chicks. That's going to help the situation. Yeah. Again, that's why I stopped blaming myself because I don't see what productive thing came from that. Now, if I was the one going and saying no woman is good enough for me, I could get where it was my fault, but I'm done. The era of, oh man, it was all because of me. That is finished. All these damn lights on, and I still have a little shadow. That's way better. Too bad thing's gonna fall down. Let's see. A lot of these chicks are attractive until you get rejected anyway. Then you see them for how they are. Oh yeah, man. When I went and met with the Lady Lack and Logic in person, and then I think there might have been less than 2 months before I just completely threw her away. I was calling her all kind of names because I was pissed. I said, "How can you, like to have a bimbo sit here and talk about how grossed out she was that men were asking her if she did sexual acts and whatnot, and then you don't ask any of that and you get the same result, it just shows their complete lack of self-awareness. Okay, then not because they turned you down, but because of the script they played out to that point. Yeah, so the chick stuff is a really stupid game. It's just people who are actually getting turned down, all having a different breaking point of when they're going to just say screw it, and then people who have never experienced or had a much easier time telling them to continue on the promise that eventually some magic person will come around that will be completely different from all of her predecessors. Megumi says that really grinds my gears because they so practically using you to fuel their ego. Yeah, they are practically using you to fuel their ego. Whether they date you or reject you, it's the same purpose. I was so when I started talking to a lady lacking logic, she had said that 90 something percent of all men who try to talk to some chick online are trying to give some kind of ridiculous ratio, right? But my friend, when I did the stream with him over a year ago, we were both just hanging out, and I was talking on the phone. I said, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't date you if you were the last person on earth. I'd rather swallow cyanide tablets." And she got so mad and was like, "What the?" Some kind of profanity laced rant. But it was funny because like it was just so nice for it to be the other way around, where it's a chick getting turned down, because you never see that happen. Told you if these clowns have not spent one iota of the amount of times that guys have had it happen. So for her to get that even just for a little second is very gratifying, because they deserve more of that. Maybe they wouldn't do horrible things if they knew there were consequences for it. Yeah, Megumi. I wish I could. Part of me almost no, because I don't want to. I don't play recordings of these people, but I think I might be able to get my best friend to recount it. You should have heard the. I have the. Let me put it this way: in the entire 9 or 10 month period I spoke to that chick, she was never more vocally upset, as far as I'm aware of, than at that point. Where I said I wouldn't date you if you're the last person on earth, and I would rather swallow cyanide tablets. Again, they say all kind of nasty stuff about us, so one of them gets talked to in a mean way. Oh well. Tired of this dumb game. You shouldn't have spoken to her that way. That's so mean. Oh well. She didn't have to talk to me. She chose to, so she gets what coming to her. You will never hear someone say, "You shouldn't have turned that man down. He was so nice." So it's not going to flip the other way around. But yeah, all this stuff is a scam. Chick thing is a scam. The employer thing is a scam. College is a scam. Hey, let's just have a little quick rundown. The chick thing is a scam because people tell you to go out and approach, and then literally all that happens is you talk to a bunch of them that all act the same, and then you get called sexist for saying they act the same or they're all the same. The college thing is a scam because people convince you that you need this piece of paper to get some good paying job, and then you spend another basically until you're middle aged paying it off. Um, the employer thing is a scam because people tell you to apply to positions if you want a job, and then you either hear nothing back or they say thank you but no thank you, oftentimes without even interviewing you. The voice actor thing is a scam because people claim they want to become professional voice actors and all this crap, and then when you actually get them to sign up for something, they do a little bit of it and then vanish. The person who doesn't harass them about sex gets the same result as the person who doesn't harass them for sex. But it's not even just that, Megumi. It's the fact that, like, let's pretend just a random person comes up and says something, right? Uh, oh my God, Envoy finally returned. Jesus, where did he go? He vanished. Actually, I'm trying to keep this up here so I can increase the brightness. No, what Megumi say? Yeah, it's not even just the fact that it's some nice person who, you know, didn't do something evil or whatever. It's the fact that this person talks about how smart you are, how funny you are, and then you add that to the fact that you don't ask them any intrusive stuff, and you still get the same result as some random dudes on Tinder who she only spoke to because she thought were hot. No, it's the 11th hour ranger. It's a TV tropes term. Let's see here. Uh, well, I told you. I said before, Vince. I don't have a. I mean, I would prefer it to be a black person, but a black chick or whatever. But I'm kind of at a point where I just don't care anymore. It's first come, first serve. Let's see what else is here. Yeah, I'm probably gonna wrap this up. But look, I'm very I'm grateful for those that showed up. I'm glad I was able to put out that video on all these horrible mothers, and I'll do a stream tomorrow, probably about Dragon Ball, and then one on something political on Monday. So, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your night.